everybody. Welcome to the show. This is Black Sky Legion, episode 111. 111. Yeah, baby. Amazing news for Star Citizen and New World. We've got some information about yet another patch. We got patches galore. We got news galore. And we're going to talk a little bit about Foundation because it's amazing and we love it. So let me go ahead and get things started. We're going to start off with, and trust me, guys, I swear to God, we're going to talk a lot about Star Citizen tonight. So please, please, please bear with, because we're going to start with a little bit of New World talk. Let me get to that B-roll. There we go. All right. So with us tonight, we have, as always, Tweak74. Say hello to the beautiful people, Tweak, and tell them what you're drinking tonight.
Hello, everybody. Glad everybody could join us on this wonderful Friday evening. I, as usual, have coffee again this evening as well. You know, I'm still recovering from not feeling well for the last week or so and trying to get back on schedule. And the wife and everybody else has been out for the count for the better part of it. So I'm still trying to stay awake pretty much. So
beautiful, beautiful. I just finished a special chocolate Christmas Yingling Hershey's chocolate porter, which will just go ahead and throw that into the recycling. And I just cracked open a Kansas City, Missouri Boulevard Brewing Company Stuff of Legend limited release barrel aged stout with vanilla and cocoa flavors, 14% alcohol by volume, 100% delicious by volume. It is good stuff. We also have tonight WOLFDRAGON. Say hi to the beautiful people, Wolf, and what are you drinking tonight?
Hello, everyone. I decided to break out an old staple with the 6 and 20 5 grain and made myself a very heavy pour old-fashioned.
Oh, old-fashions are great. Good stuff.
It's not your 14% limited release beer that you had before the Christmas beer, and before somebody says it's not even Thanksgiving. But mine's tasty and I love it.
Oh, yeah. We also have with us tonight the gang, the researchers. So let's start with Lady Raincloud. How you doing? What you drinking? What's up?
Hey everybody. Mostly just drinking. Does anybody know about SodaStream?
Oh yeah. Those little machines where you put the water in there and it gives you make your own little fuzzy water sodas. It's supposed to be better for the environment, better for you, better tasting, better quality.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you doing big Clive style experiments with the SodaStream?
I can neither confirm nor deny. But yeah, I am drinking my own homemade like Sprite kind of thing, so that's really good.
Nice.
And it might have a little something in it, maybe, possibly.
Nice. Put a little lemon in there, some ice. That's refreshing. Maybe a little Jack Daniels, maybe a little vodka, maybe a little something. Nobody's asking. It's all good.
I mean, the vodka does mean water in Russian. Just saying.
Yeah.
Rain, do you like Jaeger?
No, unfortunately not.
Apparently, carbonated Jaeger is way better than regular Jaeger.
It would have to be, right? Because it couldn't be worse than regular Jaeger.
I mean, I'll stick. Like, when I was in the Navy, my drink of choice was Jack and Coke.
There you go.
So, you know, yeah.
He's good stuff. He's good. We also have Chad ELIX, my man. What are you drinking tonight? And what's up? How you doing?
You just said two names.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chad LOSAN. I meant Chad LOSAN. Wow, I'm screwing people over.
Chad ELIX. Is that like Tuvok from Voyager? Is it like Cheelix now? Is that what
we alternate every other word.
Yes.
So how are you doing, Chad LOSAN?
I'm doing good. I'm just having some coffee tonight, and I've been playing Star Citizen all day long.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, for good reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes. In the PTU and live.
Yeah. And we also have ELIX, the lovely, the talented, the oh so sexy. What you drinking tonight, brother?
I got me a nice little glass of bourbon. Just going nice and simple with wild turkey tonight.
Dude, you can't go
got
wrong.
Got that nice deep white cherry in there.
Nice.
Good times.
Very nice, very nice. And we've done all three of the researchers. We also have a special guest tonight. We've got Gamers Cafe, friend of the show. He's been here several times because he's good. So yeah, we have him on tonight. What you drinking and how's life in you're calling from the future. You're in Australia. It's already tomorrow.
I am a time traveler, everybody. No, it's yeah, I'm drinking rum and coke, and while doing that, playing a little bit of Star Citizen. So loving it.
Yeah. Right on. Absolutely. All right. Let's right off the bat just get to it because I gotta. It's my true love right now. Just at the moment. New World, man. God damn, are they killing it? So first they did patch, what was it, 1.05, and fixed so many of the things that have been bugging people. Like, this game released, like all MMOs, with 90 different things broken. But, like, every week, a new set of stuff gets drawn to their attention. And every week, it's like, okay, and we fixed these 19 things. And then, on top of that, 1.06, well, so they also introduce a PTR, a public test realm, so that people can help them get stuff tested, which was great. And the Void Gauntlet was there. It's on the public test realm now. You can play with a new weapon. They've added new factions, like these guys, the Varangians, that are coming down. It's, to me, the storyline basically is like they're the wildlings that are coming south of the wall because shit's getting bad in Game of Thrones. It's like these guys sailed south and have like attacked, assaulted, and set up little forts in several of the zones down here. There's new quests to go along with it. There's been data mines of people pulling up gear score 620 items, new other weapons, stuff for like a bridle for a horse, what is it? A saddle for a horse, and horse food. Like, so, you know, mount stuff is more and more becoming very, very much speculated upon. When it's going to come out, you know, who knows? But almost more importantly, they have completely gone through like a process of they are getting everything addressed quickly, and there's been a lot to address, let's be honest. They are also, I think, setting up a release, what do you call it? A release cycle for stuff where it's going to be every 2 months or so, you're going to have a major update, a major free patch, a content update. And I think you're going to go A cycle, B cycle. And it's like A cycle is new weapon, some new quests, and some new NPC types or whatever. And B cycle is going to be new zone, new dungeon, you know, like new zone and some new dungeons. And then 2 months later, A cycle. Okay, a new weapon, new mob types, new quests. And then again, the next one, new zone, new dungeons. And God damn it, I am just so very, very, very excited. This is a space game. The guy, is this a space game? Yeah, we talk about video games. We talk about whatever the hell we want. And New World is one of the things. And if for some reason that's a thing that you're not interested in, then feel free to not listen. So yeah. But so let me open it up to you guys. Hop in. Your thoughts. I know several of you are with me playing we're on the Pluto server now. We're in the Marauder faction. We are the Black Sky Legion as a group. Hop in, guys. Who wants to share some feels with regard to all of this stuff?
So, real quick, the 2 month content cycle, like, I can understand how the people who are playing this game like it's a full-time job totally are gonna just love that and eat that up. For the more casual player, I'm worried that that's gonna set like it's always going to keep a goal on the horizon, but like for somebody who plays super slowly at their own pace and whatnot, not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm worried if that constant moving of the goalposts feel that might be a little demoralizing to people.
I kind of don't
I
think
want to
so.
hop in on that.
Go ahead.
So, one of the reasons I would disagree with that is because of, not fully disagree with it, but we've seen, like, again with Final Fantasy, for example, how the game is now on version 6.0 in 3 weeks, and there's 400 or 500 hours worth of content to get through, storyline content, before you get to max level. There is that feeling of like having to catch up if you're really, really slow. But what we've seen in games with these like near quarterly release cycles is a lot of it gives you, like, they should do some, I hope they do catch up tactics, basically. And I don't think it's going to be as big as you might be worried about, Wolf.
I think that, number one, they're in a position where people are comparing them to Final Fantasy and WoW and whatever, and so they have a job in front of them to really get aggressive on the release cycle so that they can get a decent amount of good content out there, and I think it's gonna help. Number two, I 100% agree with what Rain just said. It's basically gonna be those people on the bleeding edge are going to spend hours and hours and hours a day upping their watermark and doing all of these sort of very esoteric things to just get that, grind out that 1% extra, 1% extra, 1% extra upgrade day by day. Whereas the people that just casually are along for the ride, they're going to not do any of that, and they're going to be a cycle behind. So like when we have 620 gear, they'll have 600 gear. But like they won't really care that much. They'll just be like, hey, there's a new mob type and I got a new weapon and there's new whatever. So I think that the way this game is set up, it is doing a perfect job of serving the casuals and the hardcores alike. But I get completely the concept of it's a thing we want to like look into. I want to call out that people are using the dot system and they're typing the whatever. We're being super cash today, so just hop in and say whatever. Gamers, you had a thing? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I've been playing New World as well as Star Citizen, and obviously SC I've been playing a lot more, but I've still been going back to New World and stuff. I don't feel like, and I'm like a good 30 something levels, 28, 27 levels behind you, for example, Kai. I don't feel like I'm being left behind per se. So I'm going to disagree with Wolf here. I think at the end of the day, yeah, you're going to have those people that are constantly going to keep pushing forward. They're going to constantly want the new gear. They want the 620 gear, the 640 gear. But the people like me who are still low 30s, getting into the 40s, whatever it may be, we're just going to be like, hey, yes, these guys are like kicking ass and they're not going to get bored. And people like me are just going to be like, hey, we'll get there next week, 2 weeks, whatever it may be. So, I don't think it's really going to be a thing where they,
Fair. Right on.
From what I've seen, I think the biggest thing that, like, because there's always bugs with a new piece of software. There's always problems rolling out a new thing. That always happens.
Always.
They get it sorted out. It's fine. Whatever. I haven't played New World myself, but I've seen, some fairly detailed info and, people talking about it and stuff. And from what I can tell, where they really are going to struggle is the design issues. They've got some design issues that they got to work out. And I mean, like, from what I can tell, like, overall, the game is really great. It's just like the small bits here and there.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Like, if you want the item level 600 gear, you have to get to it by climbing the ladder a few rungs at a time instead of just being at 500 and having a friend's help and boom, you get a nice 600 drop. You have to stagger your way up. Like, the catch-up system is really missing.
No, so yes and no. The catch-up system is like, the catch-up system is not missing at all. It's there, but the catch-up system will catch you up to sort of the top of the last tier. So the bleeding edge is going to take, and I actually really kind of dig that when you think about it. The bleeding edge, if you want to have that top 20 points, you know, the difference between 600 gear and 620 gear, you're going to have to work super, super hard at it. And that's great because the people like me who play fucking 6 hours, 8 hours a day, they're going to have a thing to do. But the people who just want to get to the 600 gear, the top of the last tier, it's very clear that they're going to make a path for that easy.
Well, obviously it's not the same thing, but I keep going back to my love in Final Fantasy. So like top end gear is like 520, 530. And once you get to 80, you can have a crafter make you 510 gear.
100%.
Which is, here's your 510 gear, and we can pentameld materia into it so we can get you your bonuses, and then you're in the raid. Let's go.
Yep.
Let's go to the raid. Let's go. You already spent 300 hours catching up to level 80. Here's your crafted gear, your exarchic set, as it's called, your 510 set. Now you want to go to 520, 530. You're ready to go into the raid and earn that 520, 530 with us. And let's get rocking and rolling.
And just like, and that is a brilliant thing that Final Fantasy does, Final Fantasy 14. And just like that, New World seems to have a different but similar whatever, where it's like, let's be honest, 99% of the community in Final Fantasy 14 will never have the raid gear when it's current. When it's current tier, they'll have it the next time, because the next time you can buy it with tokens from the non elite tier. So it's gonna be it's two different ways. It's two different design philosophy approaches to the same thing. Whereas when I was playing Final Fantasy 14 actively, I was in a raid group that raided Savage content. And we would go at it hardcore, and it was throwing yourself at a wall over and over and over to get that gear, the Savage level gear. But that was entirely devalued the next cycle, when all that stuff could be bought for tokens from the current, like from the raid gear. So it's a similar thing. You know, I'm just having so much fun with this. The Void Gauntlet is out now on the public test realm. They've made adjustments and buffs to the rapier, several weapons, in fact, that make it really, really good. They've been addressing, you know, the issue where the crit the crit armor was sort of broken and was blocking all damage, a good percentage of all damage instead of a percentage of crit damage. They've just been addressing thing after thing after thing, adding in new stuff, and I am so very, very excited. I'm super loving it. Before we move on, does anybody have anything they want to add on to New World?
Yeah, I just want to say I've played New World and I haven't seen these major bugs that people on Reddit and Twitter and all that have been complaining about. I think that maybe there's a lot of posturing when it comes to these bugs. I don't know. You guys have played it a lot more than me. But
just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
That's true. No, so in fairness, definitely. I will say, in fairness to the critics, I will say, the bugs do exist. The bugs that they're talking about, they do exist. They're not making shit up. But here's where I find fault with their logic. They point to a problem, and let's be honest. I mean, I'm coming from a game where their MO is, when there's a problem and your community brings it up to you, ignore it for the first 5 years. Then spend a solid year telling you don't really want what you want because it's bad. It's just with ship interiors. Why would anybody want that? It's a waste of time. And then when 90% of your customer base moves on, then you go, Oh, no. Yeah, well, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to give you what we promised you years ago and what you clearly want and what we just told you for the last year you don't want. We're going to give it to you, but it's going to be really hard. So we'll get back to you in about 2 years on how to do it. Like,
So I just want to clarify. I wasn't saying the bugs don't exist.
Right.
I do wonder if it's a lot of people being very vocal about a thing that is a slight chance of happening. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen a lot of these bugs. And when I first bought it, I played it solid for like, about a month. And then obviously, we got 3.15, so I went over to that. But I was going to say, the only bugs I've actually seen in New World is most of the time is like you stand on a boulder and you're trying, you have that sort of weird thing where he sort of teleports back a bit to hit the boulder and sort of stuff like that. But generally, I haven't been having many of these encounters. So if anybody in chat has been like put off by bugs or anything like that, I haven't had many problems at all, and I don't think you've had many problems at all either, because we've talked about this in the Discord. And
I've definitely seen problems. But here's the thing that I love about AGS, and I know it's popular to kick Amazon because Amazon's a big company and they're evil. To me, Amazon and Amazon Game Studios, two different things. Amazon Game Studios has been killing it. Every week, a major patch that fixes several problems. They have been listening. They've been saying they've been more open than just about anyone. The openness that Amazon Game Studios has had, where they've said like, yeah, here's your issues on the economy and here's our data. To me, the only other company that I have seen in any way come close to being as open and honest with, here's the data, let's talk about it, is CIG. CIG and Amazon Game Studios both are like, you guys have an issue with this. Let's discuss it. Here's our data. What do you think? And that's like, nobody else does that. But they've been fixing things so fucking fast that I'm like, yeah, okay. When WoW Classic released, when they did that just in like 2 years ago, they did that, hey, we're going to re-release the original WoW. They didn't re-release the original WoW. They re-released the original WoW at patch like 1.11, which was like almost a year later, because the first patch 1 to patch 1.10, that was like almost a year of the game being pretty fucking broken before they got it to a good playable state. So it's a situation where it's like all MMOs drop a little broken and then you fix it as you go. MMO is not a regular single player game. Single player games are very, very simple compared to MMOs. Their MMOs are so crazy complicated that no QA can ever possibly test for what 900,000 players concurrent will actually do, because the people will find all the weird shit. I've seen in the notes that in the chat that gamers is a little low, so I turned them up a little, so that should fix that. But
sure.
Yeah. So okay, go ahead.
So what I was going to say was, do you think Amazon is taking this approach because of their relationship with CIG? Do you think they've sort of seen how CIG has done stuff and thought, hey, this seems to be a winning formula?
I have no idea.
It would make
Go ahead.
sense. I have
no idea why they're doing it. I can only point out. So anyone who tells you that they know why a company is doing stuff is kind of full of shit unless they work for the company. I can only, as an outsider, tell you what I'm seeing. And what I'm seeing is two companies in the game sphere, being CIG and AGS, and they are making choices that I feel are respecting their player base and addressing they're listening and being responsive. Now, if you want to, any other unnamed companies, if you want to say like, well, why are they doing? I don't know why they do what they do, man. I just know Like, I can point out the ones that are doing it right, and I can point out the ones that are doing it wrong. And as to the why, who knows? Maybe they got good reasons behind the scenes that I don't know, but I don't know. I can only tell you what I see.
So, one quick thing
Mhm.
from me, actually, two quick things. There's a YouTube channel I watch called How Big Is the Map?
Okay.
And his shtick is he walks or drives across the game map to see how long it takes.
That's kind of cool.
And he walked across the entirety of what was it? The Elder Scrolls, the old 68,000 like square. It took him like 70 something hours to do. But yeah, it was like 72 hours to walk across like Daggerfall. Yeah, it was 72 hours to walk across Daggerfall. That was how big it was.
Nice.
And he did a video on New World, and it took him 3 hours and 3 minutes to walk from the southernmost part of the map to the northernmost part of the map. And one of the things that I think is really cool is just seeing the biome diversity and the world that they built. And this is just him spending 3 hours just walking in a straight line from the bottom of the map to the top of the map. And I'm like, wow, guys, good job with your world building. Second thing about it dying. 24-hour peak was 226,631 active players via Steam, with 182,948 active players playing 27 minutes ago, with an all-time peak of 913,000 people. So that is a 24% player retention rate, which is a higher player retention rate than every other major MMO after a month of release in the last 18 months to 24 months. So I kind of hate it when people are like dishonest. And so it's like, yeah, they've lost players. Like literally every MMO does.
Ever, yeah.
Every MMO. Valheim dumped 80% of its player base. I mean, and that's not an MMO.
But what also,
so like player, go ahead.
No. I interrupted you. Please continue.
So like, I just think, well, they've lost 500,000 players. Well, yeah. I mean, it's gonna happen. People are like, this isn't for me, or they get frustrated or whatever, right? Like, if to see them go from an all-time peak of 900,000 to 10,000 in a month, that would be very concerning.
Right.
That would be an issue. But to see them maintain 25% player retention when no other MMO has done that within a month of launch in the last several years, I just think it's kind of dishonest to be like, oh, it's dying, it's a dead game. No, it's not. You have no idea what we're talking about. So nobody in this room, but I want to push that out because
I
people have been
appreciate
talking about, it's just not true.
No,
on that.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say on that point. You also got to remember too is that a lot of the people that play New World would play things like, for example, Star Citizen, right? And we have had a lot of big patches drop for SC lately. So yeah, it makes sense that some of the players have gone to play that, and after they've played 3.15 for a couple of weeks, they'll probably go back to New World. So just because someone's not playing it now doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to go back to it in a month or 3 weeks or whatever. So.
So also,
I mean, you can play more than one game. I don't know if y'all know that.
Yeah, I really appreciate that because it's a good point. I think it's just sort of a popular thing to like, hey, let's shit on Amazon because nobody ever really got people super angry at them by shitting on a major company. But it's just like, for me, I look at Amazon as one entity and Amazon Game Studios as another. And yeah, Amazon is Daddy Warbucks, but Amazon Game Studios is Little Orphan Annie. And I'm rooting for Orphan Annie like crazy because I'm playing this game every day for 8 hours plus and loving it. But like...
And you're not alone.
But like, hey, whatever. And to your point, Rain, number one, I absolutely love you for bringing that up because it's a thing that like so many people wouldn't sort of get, where they just read the headline, oh, you've lost this much, well, whatever. The fact of the matter is every MMO launches with a bazillion people day one,
and then tanks,
and then loses 80% of that in the first month because you try it and you go, A, this maybe isn't for me, or B, it's a situation of like my streamer, I watch Asmongold, and he's playing this today, but then he moves on to the next thing because like whatever. So you play what the streamer plays, or see people follow the new hotness, or just whatever. But here's another thing that does happen: you end up with 1 million people that played it week 1. It drops off to a good chunk less, but then when new content drops, as is coming in the next couple weeks, you end up recapturing a good chunk of people that come back because they're like, oh, it seems like you fixed the things, or oh, a new weapon, or oh, a new zone. And Amazon is going to keep putting money into this at a rate that no one else can match because they're Amazon and they have $1 trillion. And as a result, people are going to like, oh, this patch dropped a new weapon and 5% of the people came back. This patch dropped a new zone. 8% of the people came back. This patch dropped another new weapon. This patch dropped. So what I'm saying is, a year from now, if they keep up a release rate of every 2 months and a B cycle of new zone and dungeons, new weapon and quest lines, dude, a year from now, wait and see what this game looks like. Wait and see. I dare you.
Well, I do hope that their dev ideas keep flowing because, like, I would love to see new content. You know, new different things to do is always more better.
Mo better.
I'd rather the game be like a diesel engine and less like a bottle rocket.
Same.
Yeah, you're gonna. I mean, it's one of those, like, I can't say what it's gonna be because, you know, whatever. But wait and see. I bet money. I will, between you and me, Wolf, I will bet you money that you're gonna see, like I said, every 2 months a release, a major release, and a situation where it's like, you know, a year down the line, you've seen 6 new waves of zone and dungeon, 6 new waves of, or no, in a year, it'll be 3 new zone and dungeon, 3 new weapon and quest lines. And as those progress, you just fill out, and then you all of a sudden, hey, look, we have more content, and now we are able to sort of say, well, take a look at what we've got for. Look, the unsung hero here, the thing that people don't really mention, is Elder Scrolls Online had a super aggressive release content, and that game dropped broken as shit and was canned so hard by everyone. But let me tell you something. The people that stuck with that game, it has done a miraculous 180 and has really become, I think, a powerhouse in the genre of just putting out good content after good content. And I think for as much as Elder Scrolls Online has been able to do it, don't bet against Amazon because they're going to put money into it until they succeed.
I mean, there's 20,000 people playing ESO right now, so yeah, it's just interesting when you look at this stuff too. And the thing about a 2-month release cadence, for those of us that have do this job, it does strike me a little bit weird. I'm used to either a month, like a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or quarterly. So a 2-month release cadence seems a bit off, but I still think they're using agile methodology because I've seen them constantly putting out patches and updates, which tells me, that they're like, I think they're kind of, again, it would make sense they would see what's going on with CIG and other studios that are following that same sort of pattern, like Square Enix, like a lot of studios like Ubisoft did with Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and made it the game's the best it's ever been and the most active it's ever been. Hey, guess what? Listen to your community and you'll make money. You know, listen to your community, make a good game, you know? Holy shit.
I can believe that they actually could be pulling off the 2-month release cadence, but they've got to have like multiple teams in a TikTok.
Oh, they do.
In a TikTok sprint.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and Amazon is someone who I would trust to have the money to throw at doing that.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, like Final Fantasy 14, they bring out updates like every 4 to 6 months, except for when they hit the pre-expansion drought.
It's average
we're
of
in right now.
3.5 months. It's an average
Yeah,
of
it's
3.5.
about you know, it's roughly around 4 months, give or take, and that's Square Enix with the the Creative Business Unit 3's budget. You know, basically what they give Yoshi P.
Yeah.
Because they've got like Square Enix has the rest of its empire to deal with. They can't just put everything on there. Amazon is going hardcore on this. Like I would say that Amazon is at least as interested as Square Enix is in terms of making sure their MMO hits.
Agreed.
And so, they've got the resources that Square Enix wouldn't. So they can just be like, yeah, we're totally just going to throw, as many heads as we can get on here so we can have 2 or 3 sessions going at once and we just have a TikTok tack or whatever.
100%.
I'll be worried about it if we come back in a quarter and we see a positive downtrend.
Yep.
Like just a 3-month-long downtrend over 90 days, then I'll be like, okay, yeah, there's something going on.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to jump in one thing that happened because everybody just ran past it with the drop after release. That's not just every MMO. That's basically every game.
100%.
That's just how it works. You have a whole bunch of people who buy in when it's brand new and go, "Hey, do I like this?" And some of them don't, so they stop playing. Some of them do like it, but then after they've put 70 hours in, they're like, "All right, I'm done with this. I've had my fun. I'm moving on to another thing." And it's the hardcores that stay with it that you cherish because they're the ones that are going to still be there in 5 years and not well, I played this for 2 weeks and it's cool, but it's not amazing, so I'm going to go do something else.
100%.
That just happens in every game. And like, if you think that you can not drop 50% after a month, you got to show me what kind of marketing magic you brought to the table and what kind of releases you've got, because
I want to see that too.
You pulled something off that, like, Grand Theft Auto 5 couldn't do.
Yep.
Kind of thing.
100%. All right.
And
go ahead.
Just very quickly,
Close
too,
it
I
out.
was going to say, let's all keep. Yep. So just keep in mind too that if Amazon does really, really well with this game, New World, that is going to put it's going to put pressure on other companies to look at Amazon's engine, which is not only good for New World, but it's also good for Star Citizen too. So
100%.
at the end of the day, we're all cheering on Amazon because at the end of the day, it's good for CIG. It's good for the other games out there. Like, you imagine like the new Tomb Raider. Say they want to make a new Tomb Raider movie or a new Tomb Raider game. That'd be nuts not to look at this because New World is basically very similar to Tomb Raider. So, yeah, it's not a bad thing if Amazon does a good thing, because the more people play this game, the more people look at the engine, the more money they spend on it. Yeah, it's not a bad thing, but I don't know.
100%. All right, so moving on, because I think we've covered New World well enough, and some people get butthurt if you talk about things that aren't space games.
And they leave the channel, which is fine.
That's all good. Let's talk about a little bit of Foundation. Holy shit, man.
Oof.
Holy shit, what a week. Has anybody seen the today's drop of Foundation?
Nope. I've not seen today's episode. I finished watching the previous week's
Oh my
episode.
god, that was so good.
Yeah, that was fantastic on a level that I was not quite ready for. That was wow.
Well,
The-
so this
the
week's episode,
storytelling.
today's episode was the penultimate. It was the and just as we saw as sort of the release cycle we saw it with Game of Thrones, we saw it with The Expanse. It's always the one before the final one of the season is like big sort of holy shit, it smacks you. It gives you just a roller coaster ride and then ends on a what? And this one did not fail to deliver on that count. Holy cow. I want to briefly open it up. So, here's what we're going to do. Out of respect for our audience, we are not going to spoiler this week's episode that dropped today. But from last week's episode on, everybody's free to whatever. If you are someone who gets super, like me personally, I actually listen to the podcast at work, which talks about this week's episode, and then I watch the episode. I don't give a shit about spoilers. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm not a 12-year-old boy. I can hear whatever and then still enjoy the media for what it is. If spoilers just bother you so much, then whatever. But not today's episode we're not going to talk about, because out of respect. But from last week on, you're free to talk about anything. Let's have a little 10-minute chat about Foundation thus far, and about what Apple has done with this amazing series that you need to see. And if for some reason you just hate Apple, then steal it. I don't care. I'm not your dad. I don't judge you. But me personally, I bought Apple Plus just for this, because I want them to see money is coming in, because space nerds love it when you do good fucking sci-fi. So that's just me. You do what works best for you, but that's what I did. Guys, hop in on this. Let's have a little chat about Foundation. Go.
Yeah, I'm loving Foundation. I'm a few weeks behind. I haven't caught up to the last couple of episodes yet, because we've been busy and sick, and everybody's had the TV around
you had
here.
the Rona, bro. You got a good reason, yeah.
But what I think I'm on episode like 4 or 5 or 6, somewhere around there. And every episode, it feels like you're watching a major motion picture. It feels like an event, and you don't find many shows like that these days. So I'm loving everything about that show, and I very much look forward to catching up on it here pretty soon.
Hell yeah. Anybody else?
I haven't actually watched anything. I think after episode 5, I know
Okay,
exactly.
at least he's that far along.
Okay. That's fine.
I'm waiting to binge it. Because
I respect that.
Yeah, I like to binge.
I respect that. It's so good. Next week you can binge it all, because next week is the final whatever.
I'm gonna spoiler the absolute hell out of episode 8.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. That's last week's episode. Anyone who hasn't seen it now, feel free to pause the whatever.
Episode. Holy crap. So all right, I'm gonna call your bluff, and I'm gonna go and walk this spiral through the desert. And he has to take off his protective aura. He has to lose the nanobots that put him together if he's got an injury. And like, you can tell this is his first time like actually having physical issues doing anything whatsoever in his very pampered, privileged life. And then he gets there, he does the thing, he lays in the pool, he goes and talks to the what were the priestesses called?
They're called the hold on. They're called the the Primas? No,
that's what was being elected.
Crap, I forget the name of it.
It sounded like Zephyr.
Zephyrs,
The
yes.
Zephyrs, yeah. So does the thing, talks with the triumvirate of the Zephyrs, tells them the vision he had, and they're like, yes, this is what this is. Like the goddess has chosen you, and like obviously you're more aligned with the goddesses, being a triumvirate of people living, the same lifetimes over and over again, but separated by, essentially a third of a lifetime kind of deal. And then he's talking with the oh god,
Demerzel.
Demerzel.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can never get her name right.
Yeah.
And her parting line of, "I can't imagine the emptiness I would feel if I
So-
walked all that way and nothing happened."
Here's the thing, though. That was a dagger. That was her saying, "Fuck
Yeah.
you. You just made me kill this chick who I really respect." That was
Mhm.
her literally shitting on him, and you could tell as the closing
Oh, she
scene, it
knew.
was so beautiful. She knew, but also you could tell in the closing scene it was so beautiful that it hit him hard because
Oh yeah.
as
that-
the
that struck him to
spacers
his
were
core.
preparing him for the jump, he just had this look of horror on his face. And then you saw what he saw when he actually got into the water there, which was nothing. And that was her saying, "Fuck you, you are empty." And I think so. A couple things, if you notice, these are very subtle things. But if you notice, when he said, "Give me your bracelet, I'm gonna take this with you," and he ripped the salt crystal off of the bracelet, and he said, "It'll be like you're with me, like as you always are." If you notice, that bracelet was the exact same sort of intricate design as the bracelet that Zephyr Halima takes off of her when Halima is talking to Demerzel. She takes off of her
Yeah.
wrist. I think there are two key things here that you're going to find out in the future. I think, number one, maybe Demerzel was a Zephyr. That's why she has the same bracelet design. Maybe, who knows? Maybe Demerzel, 12,000 plus years ago, started the religion of the what's the name of their religion? I forget the luminous. I think maybe Demerzel was a key figure in Luminous, and it's just it's. So I think there's two things. Number one, that, and number two, I think you're going to find as the story goes on that Demerzel was in love with and was a lover of Cleon the First. And
Oh, absolutely.
she is sort of destined, unfortunately, in this living nightmare hell for over 11,000 years deal with the Cleonic dynasty, and basically be. So I think when Dawn is like little, she's like the mommy to the Cleons, and then as they grew up through their adolescence and they're on the verge of becoming Day, I think there's a very sort of Oedipus fucking thing going on there where she sort of maybe becomes the lover of a lot of the days, the dawn days, the like transitional period of that. And then I think there's sort of a hatred, like as happens quite often with families, where you sort of as a between teenager and like young man sort of rebel against your parental figures, which in this case you just have kind of the one, well, sort of two if you count sort of Dusk as a parental figure, and then Demerzel as the mother figure, and then there's this weird sort of like when you're a baby, when you're the baby Dawn, you're in love with Demerzel. Like, that's mommy, that she can do no wrong. She's perfect. She's amazing. She's wonderful. And then when you're teenage / growing into being a man, then you're separating yourself from mommy and daddy, and you hate them and you want to whatever. And then if you see, as every Dusk that we've seen so far, Brother Dusk, when you're older, they sort of fall back in love with Demerzel in the sense of like reverence and kind of like, hey man, you're the only one that knew the real Cleon the First. Can you please tell me that I match up, that I'm okay, that I'm good enough? They're worried about their legacy, and they suddenly have respect for whatever. Yeah. I'm sure I'm going way too much into detail on this for people who don't.
You're
watch the
definitely
show.
theory crafting there, but
Yeah.
it seems logical on a few counts. So I don't know. The whole triumvirate of Empire you know, we know that's not in the original book series. That's a creation of the writers of the TV show. Uh, Nobody knows what the whole story there is because
Well, you
it's
can
not
know.
written down nowhere.
You can
Yeah,
know
you
a
can
little bit
watch the
more.
show.
Well, no. They have an official podcast from the company that they have the Foundation podcast, and I listen to it every week, and it's legit good. And it's with the showrunner and the writers talking about the concepts. I highly recommend you check it out. Does anybody want to add anything to Foundation before we move on? Okay. Tweak. Okay, we'll tweak. We'll get to your thing. Does anybody have any more Foundation? Nope. All right. Let's get to Tweak's thing. Somebody tell Fastcart he can unmute. All right.
Fastcart, come on back.
Yeah, that
I was
doesn't work.
muted too. Thank you.
Oh wait,
What?
he's muted. Right, damn. They're telling him. I think
All right.
he'll be back.
All right. So, all right. With regard to Elite, Tweak, you want to talk about it? Let's do it.
I figured we should touch on it real quick before we
Sure.
dive into Star Citizen. So,
Sure.
credit where credit is due. I've been playing a lot of Odyssey lately. I
Okay.
teamed up with 444 the other night. We ran some CZs. Odyssey is in a much better place now than even when I first started with it. The CZs are so much fun. The AI is smart. There's explosions everywhere. They're helping you clear out rooms, and then you go outside and you got an SRV exploding next to you, and then next thing you know, you're hunting people down. It changes. The tone of the CZ changes as it goes on, and I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting to get caught behind a load of boxes and have to take cover while I'm reloading in a all-out gunfight with an NPC across the way from me, and it's reactive. They're smart, and I'm having a surprising amount of fun with it. It's
That's nice,
good.
man.
It's in a much better place. And then on top of that, credit where credit is due, we have update 9 coming, which is going to bring the combat SRV.
No. They said
Yes.
They
Nope.
said the
Update 9
SRV is
has
coming in the
SRV.
future. They said specifically.
No. Nope. They said specifically
Okay.
the SRV comes
Very
with
cool.
update 9.
Very cool.
The fleet
Wow.
carrier interiors comes afterwards.
All right.
But-
Very cool.
But then
that's
they
awesome.
release a story to Reddit. Frontier releases to not Reddit, their forums, asking people about the mat grind because they want to look at how we go about gathering materials and how they may go about possibly reducing the grind, which is huge news for the future of the game, in
Very
my
cool.
opinion. If they do
make
that, that
resource
is
hotspot thing a lot nicer to read than
Yeah, man.
I think people are going to be a lot happier with that.
And
just
also
make it-
Crystal Shard for us.
And so literally we've been asking for years for them to fucking cut down on that grind, and they're finally seeming to listen. Also, we've been asking for years. I remember asking for it 2+ years ago on my first episode of Loose Screws, saying, "Hey man, can you give us maybe like a multi limpet whatever,
Limpet?
and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
whatever,"
yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, we think we're gonna do that." Like, I literally had hours of conversations with Bruce, one-on-one in private comms, just like while I was sort of teaching him the game as he was starting, and saying like, "Yeah, what this needs to happen and that needs to happen." There were lots of stuff where he's like, "Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, okay, whatever. Oh, yeah, that's good." And none of it happened. And now it seems like some of it's starting to happen. And wow, that's awesome. Will it happen?
On the concept
Will
of
it
the
There's
happen?
more to
multi-limpet.
that, though.
Go ahead.
On
There's-
the
there's-
concept of the multi-limpet, they did say that it wasn't going to replace the single-use limpets.
Of course
so
not.
I'm
It shouldn't.
wondering what that
point-
trade-off
the-
is
the-
going to be.
Well, the point of it is, this is what I told him. You don't want to replace the, you don't want to replace the multi whatever with the single, the single limpet with the multi, because that's just broken, overpowered. That changes the balance of the whole game. The idea of a multi-limpet controller is on an exploration ship where, you know, if you're mining, you want to just use collection limpets and have one prospector limpet controller and all the rest collection limpets, because that's the maximum efficiency. But when you're going 50,000 light years from the bubble, if you can have one collector limpet that doesn't do great at anything but can do 4 different things, the utilitarian aspect of having the ability to do whatever you need, even if it's at half strength for each of them, is still just amazing. Tweaked, I think you have feelings on this. Please hop in.
Well, yeah, the collector limpet too, but that isn't even, I mean, just put all of this into perspective where everything was so broken and disastrous, and there were very few people as critical of them as I have been over the last few months or so. But it's at a place right now where I'm actually having fun with the game again. And then they release this news that they want to look at the grind, which is great news. And then they release a tidbit where there are probable SRV missions where you need an SRV to do them, along with NPCs driving SRVs. But one of the most exciting things that I saw when they were talking about the grind, that Bruce, I think it was Bruce anyways, posted some ideas that they had. One of which was I guess you would call it a quest mission. Basically, you go to the engineer, and instead of going out and farming all those mats you need to upgrade your FSD all the way, you go there and you get a mission, and you go and you carry out whatever that mission calls you to do, and it gives you what you need to upgrade it.
Tweaked, you
that
know,
kind of scenario that they're looking at.
Tweaked, you know that I love you, right, brother? So I'm not.
I know, but it's
I'm not.
I get it.
I'm not.
I get
I'm
it.
not. No. Let me finish. I'm not shitting on you, but I'm going to say this because I feel like it needs to be said in fairness and in having an open and honest conversation that encompasses the entirety of the situation. Let me ask you a question. It was Star Citizen fans who got together and raised money to get you a PC so that you could enjoy Star Citizen with us. And I'm not trying to be a dick, I'm just pointing this out. If they had not done that, if it weren't for the Star Citizen community, and if you were still only on an Xbox, how would you be feeling right now about the state of Elite?
I'd be frustrated as hell, as most of my friends are, because they don't have any access to get to it. They can't play it still.
So
well, I would still be watching all the updates and being intrigued by them, because you can't deny that they've been making it better. It's been getting to a better spot.
That's
with
true.
the things that they're talking about doing, if they actually do it, well, we gotta, like I said, we gotta give credit when credit's due. We can call out the bad when it's bad, but when they do start doing things right, we gotta let them know that they're doing things right too. And
I agree.
Again, this is FDev, so we have to wait and see that it actually happens. But still, I'm encouraged with the signs I'm seeing right now.
I 100% agree with what you're saying. I just wanted to bring up that point because I feel like that needs to be said.
Yeah. No, I get it. And I've had a lot of conversations with my friends on Xbox, and they are, because I'm sharing Odyssey pictures in our Discord, and they don't have access to it. And it's a conversation that we've all had, and they're all like, well, maybe someday, but probably not. You know, a lot of them don't even believe it's going to get to the console anymore.
Honestly, at this point,
that's something none of us know. That's right.
At this point, let's be honest. We know that Frontier can only afford to keep all of the manpower that they've had working on Elite, focused on Elite for so long, because they have the Warhammer IP that drops this year. They have the Formula 1 IP that drops this year, and they have a third undeclared major IP MMO that drops this year. How long can they afford to keep all of these people trying to fix what was botched on Odyssey release? And at what point, I'm thinking literally within the next month or two, they're going to have to start siphoning people away. And I don't think they're anywhere near having the game optimized enough yet to work on PS4 and to work on Xbox One. Now, if they were to do what I thought they should have done a long time ago and bite the bullet and say, hey, we're really sorry, we screwed up, we're going to drop this on PS5 and whatever, Xbox Next or whatever the fuck they're calling it.
X.
Yeah, whatever. Then, okay, maybe. But as it stands now, they refuse to back off from their statement of, no, it's going to be good on the PS4 and the Xbox One. And like, I don't see it.
And that's what we need from FDev at this point in time. And I think it was even Down to Earth who put out a video in the last day or two about it, about the lack of console news too. So I'd like to thank Astro for that. But they do need to come out and say something about that, because people on Xbox and people on PlayStation they're watching all this stuff and they're like, yeah, you guys might complain, but I sure would like to do it, because I can tell you, speaking from experience, if I was on Xbox only, I probably would not be playing it. I'd be playing my Madden. I'd be playing 2K22 or Mass Effect or whatever I could find to play. I wasn't playing Elite anymore. But now that I'm in Odyssey and I'm going from running poll data missions, I'm just hanging out in OPIC space. I work in our BGS, so I run a poll data mission in VR, and then I go down and I do an Odyssey mission not in VR. And what it's done is it adds so much of a birth of variety to the gameplay. My normal hour or 2 hours of gameplay that was all in my ship doing the same thing over and over again now is a variety of different things that it never was before. And it's allowed my Elite Dangerous journey to continue.
Dude, I love that.
That said, I'm excited as hell to get into 3.15 once I get my Xbox controller totally mapped for Star Citizen, because I can't figure out my HOTAS issue yet.
And we're about to get balls deep into the fucking awesome Star Citizen stuff. But I'm sorry, Lady Rain, go ahead.
So everybody knows that I have not been a happy camper with Elite for a while. Everybody knows that. However, I 100% with Tweaked here. There are things to be said, like the fact that, okay, Frontier, it only took you 6 years to start treating this like a live service game. A little bit too late. Because, the game peaked at 27,000, peak concurrent on PC. It had never hit that player base.
Wait,
wait,
hold on. I'm a little bit confused. Lady Rain, can you please explain to me? People are saying New World is dead when it's got 10 times that amount of concurrent player base. How's that work?
Yeah, well, those are people being dishonest and disingenuous.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
Hey, everybody knows I'm the bitch of the show, so I'm just gonna be bitchy. May 2021, almost 28,000 PCU. The game had never hit those numbers, not in 6 years. PCU for this month is just a little over 7,000. That is an insane drop, right? Where they lost 31% of the player base 1 month, 41% of the player base the next. However, they started posting some 2.3 and 5.3% gains so far for last month and this month. The game is starting to get a little bit of a resurgence, and I hope, because when I cracked that 500-hour mark in Elite, I was playing Elite because, much like Tweaked, I couldn't play Star Citizen. My computer wouldn't run SC, so my options were No Man's Sky and Elite. I went and dumped 500 hours into Elite. And I did love the game until I kind of hit that wall that some people hit, where it's like, well, shit, now I got another billion credits to earn, and I don't want to.
Wait. Your choices were No Man's Sky or Elite, and you chose the second best option?
Yeah, well,
that's going a little too far. I know you're still salty, Kai, but let's be fair.
Bro, I'm just telling you how I feel. You can feel different. That's fine.
Come on, how many shows now have I given Tweaked shit? I'm actually agreeing with it. I'm sure he's happy.
It was an unusually cold day today. I must note that.
You know what, Wolf? You know what? You can take a long walk off a short bridge, buddy. Mister, I work for the government, but can't figure out how the fuck to set up my HOTAS. Anyway.
I'm just saying that for the state of the future of Elite Dangerous and At one point or another, everybody, even everybody on this show, played Elite at one point or another.
Hell
Right now,
Yeah.
and
Loved it,
most
loved
of us
it.
on this show are like diehard Star Citizen now.
Mm.
Yeah.
That being said, it's in a surprising place now where it's playable fun. I'm getting, and yes, I know I have a good PC. I'm running a 3060 graphics card, but even in a high intensity CZ that has rocket launchers with things exploding everywhere, and I look up and I've got a Python and a Type 9 battling, exploding, falling down, and things like that. I'm getting between 35 to 50 FPS down there doing that, and it's playing smooth. It's
All right.
not lagging or sticking or anything like that.
All
So
right. We gotta.
all in all,
all
it's
I
in a
wanted to say-
fun place, and it needs to get to that place so they can get it to console. Now they need to figure out what they're going to do about that.
All right. Now I'm gonna.
all
Go
I
ahead.
want to say real quick is this needs to be their Realm Reborn moment.
It definitely
It
needs,
needs to be their Realm Reborn
They
moment.
cannot afford any more fuck ups.
No, they need to. The fact that they have actually done this monthly update cycle to treat the game like a live service game finally for the first time in 6 years. Well done. Good job. Fantastic.
Yeah. So let me just say this.
Hot mic and tweak.
Yeah, your little hot mic tweak. I gotta end this because we gotta move along to Star Citizen where we got good shit to talk about. I gotta say this a couple things. Number one, with regard to because the Final Fantasy's been thrown around a couple times here. Final Fantasy announced that they had to delay Endwalkers by like a month.
2 weeks.
Whatever. Yoshi P went on the fucking stream and
cried.
Apologized profusely to his players and fucking cried. This man lives and dies to fucking like do right by the Final Fantasy 14 community. In my heart, this man is a god of like in a world where so many developers and publishers just lie, break dates, shit on their people, whatever. This guy came out and fucking cried over a small delay on what is absolutely unquestionably a fantastic title.
Yeah.
This is what we need to see more of. We need to see people, number one, care about telling the truth to their people. Number two, make the hard decisions when they have to. And number three, feel it. That delay hurt him more than it hurt any Final Fantasy player. And I think the community of Final Fantasy 14 has rallied so hard and been like, Yoshi, it's cool. We got you. We love you. You take the time that you need. We appreciate you. We need to see more of that from the FDevs, from the Bethesdas, from the just insert name of any group, even including AGS, who I love, and CIG, who I love. The dedication that man has is unparalleled in the industry, period. So that I'm going to say. And the other thing I'm going to say positive for Frontier, because I want to end it on a positive note for Frontier. I've had criticisms of them. I have, because I feel like you lied to me and it pissed me off. But throughout this entire debacle of Odyssey release, where you have fucked up so hard so many times, Frontier have been killing it on the story front, man. They've just been just doing good, consistent story work. And so, huge salute to you. Now, having said that, we're wrapping that up. We need to move on to Star Citizen because we have got so much Star Citizen stuff to talk about. Between 3.15...
I want to jump in.
Go ahead.
I want to jump in with one last thing. It's specifically about Yoshi P, because I love the man. I would
100%.
One of the as far as I know, one of the reasons that he was so upset about this delay is it not only is the first time that he had to delay a patch for 14. As far as I'm aware here, and I haven't interviewed him myself, so I don't know this is 100% fact, but as far as I know, this is the first time he's had to delay a release date in his career.
Yep.
It is, yes. He said it was. Yes.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, he said
So,
that on
like
on
that
the
is
stream.
why it's such a big deal for him. Is he fucked up? Like he actually fucked up and missed a date for the first time.
And I honestly, I would take issue with that to say, in this particular case, there was some COVID stuff and some other stuff, and it was just, it came down hard. But he is doing the honorable thing and saying, I'll take the hit, I'll take the blame, even though there's extenuating circumstances and good reason. It wasn't like he just like screwed the pooch. It was shit fell hard, but
Yeah.
he
Well,
cares so much
actually-
about the product that he was like, we could release it and then fix it in 3 weeks like everyone else, but we're not gonna.
What actually even happened is he basically scheduled too much work. He wanted Endwalker to be so good. He just put too much work on everyone's plate. And he even said, like, I could have only delayed it by 1 week. We just needed more QA time. And I was not going to put it out without that QA. And I said, 1 week? No, let's go for 2 just to be careful, because he wants to get it right on the first try.
Yeah. All
Which
right.
is another lesson that people could take. Anyway,
So we're going to start on Star Citizen. I want, actually, gamers, I want you to start us off on Star Citizen with a couple minutes on the Reclaimer walkthrough that you did earlier, and you can plug your channel so people can find it. Talk about 3.15.1 and other stuff, and then from there, we're going to have each of the Star Citizen researchers go through, and then we're going to just pass it to general conversation. Go.
Cool. All right. So obviously, guys, we've had 3.15 drop with the patch. The Redeemer is in the 3.15.1, which is open to PTU for everybody. It is straight to Wave 3. So if you guys aren't playing the PTU, copy your live folder, make a backup of it, rename it to PTU, jump in. They fixed a lot of the bugs with the mining, not being able to mine minerals and get you out of prison quicker. They've fixed the whole getting out of prison and losing your head in the Moby glass, supposedly. But the Redeemer is just literally sex on a stick, to quote Kai. It is amazing ship. It's got more guns. It's got guns on guns. I think I counted there's like 10 different guns on the thing. It is an amazing ship. It's compact. It's about the same size as the Star Runner, maybe a bit smaller. Uses the same landing pads as the Star Runner. So it's on pad 9 or 10 when you're at Port Olazar. But yeah, it's got wardrobe space. It's got gravity generators and oxygen generators. So spoilers, that'll obviously be in the game at a later date. It's something new that we haven't seen. But yeah, it's phenomenal layout. It's got obviously down the whole bottom section, just your general stuff with like your bunks and your kitchen and everything like that. And then you got up a ladder, and then you're jumping into the business end, which is like your drop chairs, your components are up the back and near the back tailwind, and obviously you've got your turrets and stuff like that as well that you can control up there as well.
Real quick,
guys.
Real quick, I wanted you to introduce a lot of the stuff, but I still want people to feel free to sort of hop in on the, on like as he hits points, if there's a thing, whatever. Let's do this. Let's try not to sort of, over talk each other, but let's just have a nice conversational flow and hop in with observations and things. I'm saying ELIX is typing stuff that he's seeing stuff. ELIX, hop in on some of this.
Yeah, so on the topic of the oxygen generators and the other life support stuff, that is something that they have said they are working on. So that is, we can definitely look forward to that soon. It's not in yet.
Yep.
No. And I think that comes in with when it comes into the ship component. Like for example, they're talking about putting in capacitors. Obviously making it so that you need to like relays and stuff like that. I think it's all a part of that system that will come in, and it's probably all going to come in fairly soon because they've been working on these components for a while. The thing that they were waiting for these components was item cache. Now, obviously, we've got the start of item cache coming in with 3.15, and they've expanded on item cache with 3.15.1. I just noticed. We'll talk about it in a sec. But, so like now they've got the item cache up and running. They've got things like physicalized items and stuff. Now they can start adding things like ship components. And I noticed in 3.15 the other day that I brought a module. I brought a hyperdrive for my Star Runner, and I actually noticed it was actually at the station. The module was actually physically there. So they're starting to bring this sort of stuff in. So I'm really looking forward to that because I want that tactile sensation of like, hey, here's a hyperdrive. Crap, it's just pooped itself. Quick, rip it out, throw another one in. And let's get the ship going, and then we can maybe take it to like Jumpers Depot to get it fixed.
On the component thing, a lot of people I think haven't noticed that a lot of these ships have component housing for avionics, radar, batteries. These are going to be things eventually. We're going to have to care about our avionics. We're going to have to care about our server blades on the ship. We're going to have to care about all of this as the ships continue to grow and progress. And even with thruster tuning, I do feel vindicated, and then mentioning that some ships had magic numbers that weren't even part of like what the thrusters were capable of, which I found to be disheartening considering in the back end thrusters actually have specific impulse and thrust weight and like all of that. Like you can actually see exactly how much thrust the main engines on a Carrack has, and it's like something like 70 something rocket engines worth of thrust. It's enormous. So I think we're right around the corner. I think like they're going to be continuing to move this stuff forward. We've seen on the roadmap how they've finished some passes on the shield gens and things like that. So I think we have a lot to look forward to with components and the continuing evolution of what we're going to be able to change in the ship. I can't wait to see that transition to what they said during CitizenCon 2-3 years ago, what they want to do with armor.
Yeah,
So
that's
I think that'll be cool too.
I think when armor comes in, that's gonna be another huge shakeup to stuff where like the ships like the what is it the F7 Super Lightning, Super Hornet, are gonna be just so much like just more tanky and more even.
Well, I also meant like personal armor, the armor you wear.
True.
Because they said, like power levels and oxygen levels and RCS fuel levels and that sort of stuff. I'm looking forward to that as well. So I do feel really vindicated lately with a lot of the stuff they've said, especially because I did say that I expected server meshing to be the end of next year. That's what they're shooting for. So 4.0 next year, we can hope.
Yeah, so we actually have an FAQ they put out regarding server meshing, and I've got some notes on that, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But I was just getting onto the components. Like I say, most of the ships they've already gone through and they've put the components there. They're just not plumbed in. People were saying to me like, can't remember where I was some Discord, and I think it might have been Star Citizen Reddit, and they were saying like, oh, these components they're going to be years off because they got to go through and they got to rework all these ships. It's like, well, no, actually, most of the ships already have the components there that they don't have to worry about reworking things like ships like the Arrow and stuff like that. They might have to worry about, but especially lately, the Redeemer, all the components are there. They're just not plumbed in. All the components are in the Star Runner. They're just not plumbed in. So there's only a small amount of ships that they're going to have to go through and rework. And that's what this gold standard thing does. So at the end of the day, like I'm looking forward to the fact that like I go up to my radar and I'm like, hey, I'm going to do exploration. So, maybe you will be able to switch the radar blade out to make it more exploration, or maybe we'll be able to say like, hey, we want to do combat. So we'll be able to switch the radar blade out to be more combat focused.
Can I just point something out real quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
Man, you longtime Star Citizen folks are so spoiled that we just had a major patch drop, yesterday?
Yeah.
With like game-changing differences in the game. And you guys are all already looking at what's coming next. Blows my mind every time.
I think though when you're dealing with
a
a developer that is working at a very good pace and is constantly giving you new stuff and is telling you openly and honestly what's on the horizon, it's a blessing and a curse, because it is just going to be your standard move for gamers to go, okay, you just gave me 8 pounds of cake. What new cake do you have tomorrow? It's just
What's
a
in
thing.
the oven?
Yeah, it's just a thing, man.
This tastes great. What's coming?
Yeah. And but I mean, that's a great problem to have, right? Coming from the tweet coming from the community that we're from, where it's like, hey, maybe you'll get something new in 3 years. This is a nice, refreshing pace. This is really good.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. I can't wait to get my flying situation solved so I can dig into Star Citizen and test out some of these new missions and look at the new clouds and just get into all of the new again. I'm excited to experience it all over again for the first time.
Well, tweet, we have to take you for a fly time, buddy. We have to get this stick situation fixed because we need you in the PTU, man.
Yeah, I need to be there. I need to be there. This freaking, I don't know what it is, but this HOTAS is frustrating the hell out of me. So
yeah, for sure, we'll get that sorted.
One
ELIX,
thing
go ahead.
Yeah, so a minute ago here, just before we got on to tweet, which is cool, we were talking about how people were saying like, oh, they're gonna have to rework ships for the components and all this, and it's like that was what they were doing in 2015, 2016 era. That was when they started doing reworks of the original ships, like complete rebuilds from scratch, because that was when they actually set the metrics for the internal components and went, okay, a radar is going to be this big. That's when they actually worked it out and then worked through the ships. And so anyone who's saying, oh, they're going to have to rebuild the ships to take component and deal with components, it's like, look around your ship and notice that depending on what ship you have, there are doors you can open that have non-usable things labeled things like radar on them. You'll be able to pull those right out of the wall eventually. Or on some ships, it's actually it's exterior compartments that you open on the outside of the ship because it's a fighter and it doesn't have an interior space. So yeah, like SIG did that years ago. They had the foresight to deal with that a long time ago. It's been dealt with. It's been done. If the ship is in gold standard, the components are already there. They're just not functional.
You heard it first from
the
ELIX.
spaces are in.
The future is now, old man.
Exactly. I was going to say, just for the old backers here, a blast from the past. Can anyone remember the original, or not the original, but like the old style ass Mustang, where you literally had to crawl under the ship and go in through the bottom hatch?
And on the old Mustang, on the original Mustang, it was that it was a situation that if you blew off a wing or whatever, it couldn't really sort of land properly because it had the landing wheel on the wing. Yeah.
Yeah, the wingtips were landing skids, so as soon as you took any kind of damage, congratulations, your ship doesn't land flat anymore. Here's the worst part about it, though. I actually know the technical reason why the belly airlock on the Mustang Beta was so horrific, and also the Alpha, but the Beta even worse. So the way CryEngine, like vanilla CryEngine, the way it understands how to give you that good old use prompt that only does one thing, like you walk up to a coffee maker and you get use, and you hit it, you get an animation for, oh look, coffee. The way that works in CryEngine is you step into a bounding box, meaning you step inside this box and it goes, all right, anything that steps in here, I'm going to pop up the use interaction window and allow them to activate the script of whatever that does. In the middle of the Mustang's airlock on the Alpha, you had 2, and on the beta, you had 3 of these boxes that had to work inside a phone booth.
Okay.
If you were looking one way, you would go to the front of the thing. If you were looking the other way in the beta, you would go into the back cabin. And if you were looking down, you should be able to get out the bottom, which was why a lot of the times it took me 3 or 4 times to get into the cockpit of my Mustang beta, because I'd be looking at the front door and it would go, "Oh, you want to go down and out? All right." I'm like, "No, I want to get in."
So
And yes,
basically,
Kit Havoc calls it's the Hobbins hole.
so what you're
I love that.
saying, what you're saying is, with regard to Star Citizen, you've come a long way, baby.
Yeah, they actually fix things.
This is what frustrates me with a lot of the Star Citizen community, right? Is at the end of the day, is that they sit there and they complain about progress not being made. And I was like, are you kidding me? I remember 4 years ago flying to Cryastra to refuel and repair my ship. Like, all we had at that time was basically the Stanton system. It was like Crusader was a JPEG and the moons, and that was it. It's like,
Or how about 7 years ago when the entire galaxy was, I've got a hangar, I can run around in it.
And I've got no. We had the hangars, and we had 2 arena commander maps with walls about 20 kilometers wide that would kill you when you flew past them.
And now in 3.15.1, we've got freaking clouds, people. Like, yeah,
not just clouds, but I mean like actual volumetric, like Microsoft Flight Simulator type clouds. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's talk about, because some of the people listening might not know what came in 3.15. So let's discuss actually some of the stuff that people can get in and do right this moment. Like has anybody done those new FPS bunker missions or whatever they put in?
Yeah.
So
they're tight.
Wait, Tweak makes a very, very good point. How about we have one person? How about ELIX? Take over on this one. Why don't you run us through the list, top to bottom, of what we got in 3.15 and how sort of the game has changed?
Oh boy, that's a
big
long
one.
list here.
It's a big one.
Give me just a second
You should
here.
probably
but
take a
I'll-
sip of your drink.
Well, how about
Yeah,
how about also Chad and RAYNE can help you out, and we can literally just, between the 3 researchers, start throwing out like, okay, this and this and this, and we'll just add to the list. How about that?
yeah,
Well,
so
medical gameplay.
Okay, that's a
is
huge,
in right?
huge.
Yeah, huge.
Which includes hospitals and medical guns and broken legs, and so you don't just die instantly anymore. So you get shot in the leg and you go limping around, merely a flesh wound, till somebody gets you to a hospital. Game changing, absolutely game changing.
so-
to not just go down instantly as soon as you get shot now.
Also, another thing that's attached to that is, before, we've already had it where when you go down, your body is now full loot if you die. But now also they've got it so that your stuff is saved in a particular home location. The first time that you log into the new patch, it's going to ask you to choose your home location. This is not only going to set your spawn point for your initial position like it would before, it's going to put all your stuff there. And it's actually going to be there. If you say, start me on Microtech, your stuff is going to be on Microtech. If you then get into your ship and you fly over to ArcCorp and you go, oh, damn, I forgot my sniper rifle. I need that sniper rifle in order to take this mission. You can't just open up your Moby Glass and go into my personal manager app, PMA, and equip my sniper rifle. Your sniper rifle is sitting back in Microtech. You got to go back there or buy another one.
And all of this is facilitated by a whole new sort of app that keeps track of all of your stuff and where it is, both on you and in the town that you're in, and on the planet that you're in, and in the in the system that you're in. Like, oh, these 3 ships are in New Babbage. This ship is in Microtech. This ship is in Orison. These 2 vehicles are on Hurston. Like, and these bottles of water and this whatever, like, all of this stuff is here, there, and everywhere. Yeah, there's that.
Hey, by the way, 30K crash protection is in and works.
Yeah, and
Yep,
that
crash
is a
recovery is
huge.
new in.
that is another huge portion of what I like to call CIG under-promising and over-delivering this year, of just stuff of like there's shit that they worked out. Like the first time it happened in 3.14, people were crashing and then logging back in and going, wait, what the fuck? I'm still in my ship and all my stuff is here. And they were just like, and they were literally going on the forum saying, hey, what's going on? My stuff is still here. And people and CIG were saying like, yeah, we didn't want to mention that because we're working on it and it might not be 100% yet, but it's a thing that we added. And there, what? Just okay, just extra. Okay, cool. There's more. Keep going, guys.
Yeah,
And like
the thing with
Eagle said
with
too, with the looting, I think the looting is actually a bigger aspect of gameplay than people are giving it credit
Oh, for
for
sure.
at this point in time.
Yeah.
For sure. The fact that, again, along my title of like CIG just not meant. Oh, yeah, sorry, guys. We didn't tell you, but yeah, that's in. Like, when 3.15 hit the PTU Wave 1, well, let's be honest, when it hit Evocati, because Evocati leaks like a fucking sieve. When it hits Evocati and everybody was like, wait, what? We're doing Pirate McPirate face? Everything you blow up, every ship you blow up just drops loot out there and you get to go collect it? Everybody lost their minds. It's 3.14 changed the nature of the game forever, of everyone going from being solo in 19 ships to now we're multi-crewing. And 3.15 is an even bigger change to the galaxy of thinking shit through, keeping track of your stuff, keeping track of your body and your health and what's where and who, and giving you reasons why maybe you should be with someone because like shit goes south and you want backup. Like all of these things are just keep going, guys.
Well, not only that, but mining, right? Mining is, getting in the next patch in 3.16, mining is getting, the gadgets and stuff like that. Not only that, but when we saw them do things like show us bombs on an ISC and tell us that, one of the devs was like, hey, you know what? If I turn a missile's thrust ignite, function off, it just falls and impacts and becomes a bomb. We remember the ISC, LMAFO, I'm a bomb, right? The missiles falling.
Yeah.
LMAO, I'm a bomb. And hey, guess what? It's in the patch. Boom. The next patch is like, hey, bombs, because we figured it out. And then when they were like, oh, all that work we did so that the Merlin and Archimedes can dock with the Connie, how about we just use that for docking, period, and refueling? And even Lando, even Jared was like, that'll never work, right? People said that would never work, and then it did. And the dev team, you've built something fantastic when your dev team is surprised by something working, right? Like when the dev team goes, nah, that won't work, and somebody in the team goes, hey, look, it just did, and you've got like 30 people standing around your desk going, holy shit. You've done really well in building systems and mechanics from a perspective of allowing them to be dynamic and expandable. I don't think people realize, like, it's not just 3.16, but the whole of next year, you better buckle up. You better buckle up.
Another thing that's coming in 3.15 another thing that is in 3.15 that is part of this, like, hey, now that we've got this, we can just, touch wiggle around here for 2 seconds, and now we've got this. Loot generation is here.
Yep.
Now you just got systemically generated boxes and lockers and crates just sitting around with lootable items. They're dynamically generated based on their location with random amounts and random quantities and stuff. And so you can just be walking around and go, oh, hey, here's another gun.
Morph had that happen. Morphologist was doing a stream where he was asking people about new player experience. He was doing a box mission, and he noticed a crate and was like, well, that's new. Walked up to it, opened it up, and was like, there's stuff in here. And was just like, what? And just was like, well, I guess I don't have to buy any of this now.
That's good. There's new items. There have been people posting on Reddit pictures of Banu knives. There's a Banu knife in the game now. And
So-
I'm going to drop a link into the recording booth here that Kai can
Now,
share
we've
the
mentioned
screen.
a lot of the really good, or at least briefly mentioned a lot of the really good. We should touch on the one head scratcher, really, that if you die, your body can be looted, including anything you paid for with real money, including your armor or whatever you paid for
So-
with real
Well,
money.
I'll-
It
so-
will be gone.
So
So here's the thing about that. I'm going to jump right in on that. They've already said weeks ago that they're going to have a way of getting your stuff back, like whether it's going to be a kiosk that you can, like a terminal you can go to that's basically a store that's
But it's not there
specific to
yet.
whatever you got, but it's not there yet.
Sure.
And it's a matter of make it work, then make it fancy. They got the system to work, getting your paid stuff back because like your CitizenCon knife was lost. That's a quality of life thing that will come.
Mhm.
And I think that's pretty much all that needs to be said. But yeah, for now, if you die while carrying something special that you paid for or it's otherwise irreplaceable, the only way to get it back is a character reset. But
Or-
that's an alpha limitation.
Well, there's two ways to
Go
get it
ahead.
back. The first is the character reset, and the second is wait until a wipe, and then on the next patch you will have your stuff
Yeah,
back.
that's true.
But yes, they have already
The
said
other-
flat out that they are well aware that people are going to lose shit that they paid real money for, and that they're going to put a kiosk or a thing in the game, and they're going to have some story in universe lore of like, well, this guy shot you in the head and he stole your shiny hat that you had as from the store, and then he was later, 2 days later, he was arrested, and when he was arrested, the cops detained him, took the stuff, found your ownership code inside, and they've mailed it back to you. Like, these are things that like they're working on. It's going to happen. Keep in mind, that's why you do a really well tested alpha like this, because before it launches, every person who plays this game clicks on a button every time they load it that says, I know this isn't the real game yet. I know shit is unfinished. I want to play it and test it and deal with it. And you fix this stuff so that, because that button's not going to be there when it goes into launch. And we're still a ways away from launch. And when it launches, they will have that shit all sorted.
I was just going to say, on this, I do have a very good solution for this problem. Guys, especially for people that spawn over at Microtech, don't use Microtech, or is it Port Tressa, RAYNE, that's above Microtech? Which is the space station? I can't remember.
The orbital above Microtech. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't use those as your home base. Use a place like M1, for example. So that's what I do, right? All my stuff gets spawned at Microtech. I then take my ship, I fly over to M1, I land there, I set that as my hospital, and then I just go through and I click claim on all my ships, and just eventually they'll go through and they'll turn up again. And that way, you've got all the stuff that you've brought, all your paid items, your subscriber gear, that's over at Microtech. You can't touch it. And then you just simply use M1 as your base. And it's not just M1 where you can do this too. It's like if you have Orison as your landing zone, there is a space station that is 1,000,000 kilometers away from Port Al-Azhar, which is further enough away from it to not count as being in that bubble. And you can then start dumping all your stuff there. And you're literally like 1,000,000 Ks away from Port Al-Azhar. It's like a 5-second trip in a Star Runner or a Deemer. It's like less than half a second. But I was going to say, but there are places where like just because you spawn at a location doesn't necessarily mean you have to stay there. You can go close by and use another station as your home station and just leave all your subscriber gear at the bases and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I've got a couple questions, and
Go
this
for
is
it.
going to hijack things a little bit, but we've got a bunch of new things in. We've had a bunch of quote-unquote old things in, things that haven't gotten work, things that have gotten work. For someone who hasn't played and has only, watched some stuff, talked about it with friends who are in the know, that kind of thing. How intuitive are all these different pieces when it comes to doing those pieces individually, and then in the larger, and I realize a lot of this isn't in the game yet, linking these different items, actions, activities, and whatnot together so that if you want to go out and do a thing, you can do the thing and it makes sense to know what you need to do and how you need to do it.
So you've been
So
in
Oh, go ahead,
comms
Kai.
with me for many
Oh, yeah.
hours when I was mining and flying around and doing stuff, and I would stream and you were watching me, fly
Mhm.
around in this ship and that ship and whatever, and like a lot of it is very, very intuitive. And like all intricate games, a lot of it is not intuitive, but you learn it as you go, and this is an alpha, man. You can't screw up as far as like anything that you do good, earning money, earning whatever, will get wiped and you will lose it. Anything you do bad, losing items, losing whatever, will get wiped and you will get your shit back. Anything that you paid real cash for and whatever. Like it's all and that's part of sort of the fun is figuring it out. Part of the fun of it is screwing up and learning from your mistakes. And you saw when I was sitting there trying to fight, getting a rock onto the ship, and like you would have those weird situations where you have to learn how to land the Cuddy Black just right, because otherwise the ramp's going to hit a rock, and when the ramp hits a rock, then the ramp is actually 6 inches off the
You can't
ground,
jump
and when
onto it.
when your rock tries to come onto the back of your Cuddy Back ramp, it flips it like a diving board, and then you're sideways and whatever. Like it's all part of it, man. Like I know you're a little worried because it's
But-
so intricate, but like you'll find that as you play, it'll all fall into place, man. Star Citizen
I'm
is
just
so
hearing
fun.
that eventually
What
it
I would
sounds
say,
like
Wolf,
with. All right.
having just started the game in 3.14, I just came in like right after 3.14 dropped. And what I have learned about Star Citizen is very much like Elite Dangerous. There is no holding your hand, no teaching you how to do anything.
Just jump
So
in.
once you learn how to fly your ship, what you have to do is you have to think like real world terms. Like if I was really here and I wanted to do that, how would I do it? And that's how you do it in Star Citizen. You go and just do things like piece by piece. Everything is, oh, you're lost? Look up and read the signs on the walls as you're walking around and everything like that. It's all a very in-depth and detailed learning experience, but I can tell you it is one of the most enjoyable learning experiences you will have.
And it's just like it's like what I imagine being a parent is. There's like you can prep and prep and prep and all of that will be useful, but no one is ever actually prepared for the job. You just do the best you can and you kind of make it work as you go. You'll be fine, man. You were over a year ago at this point. It's been almost 2 years ago. You were watching me stream while I was playing it. And I would stream it, I was being sort of on the down low with the greater community because it's like, oh, you couldn't mention at that point playing Star Citizen to elite players without it being like, oh, j'accuse. But like, you were watching me stream in the private channel when we were hanging out. You saw all the stuff. It is what it is.
If I could,
The thing that concerns
Go ahead.
me
Yeah.
is that having things like I can change out these different types of avionics. I can do these different things.
Mm.
Depending on how much they want to make this a not just a fly around, go do stuff in space, go do stuff on foot on a planet kind of sim, but like an actual like you're living the life of this person.
Mm.
I'm wondering if at some point, and I'm going to use a Navy term here, like if you're going to have to be the AT for the ship in order to fix things and make things do things, and
No,
the whole make things do things, I get that from the elite standpoint of with your module selection and stuff like that.
Mm.
I'm just worried that they're going to go down the rabbit hole of like, okay, this broke, you can fix it, and you do whatever mini game or whatnot to fix the thing that broke Vice just buying a new one. I'm worried about the devil's in the details kind of thing, and it's
nowhere.
probably a little
it's-
unfounded.
I don't-
Probably isn't, but you know.
Go ahead, Elix.
I think they will have, like, they've taught, and of course obviously they could do anything by the time it comes to actually implementing it. Plans could change 100%, who the hell knows. But they have talked about having subcomponents where, like, I mean, you've seen the cutting tool in action with the like with the CitizenCon demo from several years back when they went to the crash satellite in Hurston. And
Yeah.
when they went to the Javelin, the crash Javelin and stuff, and they were cutting through things in the, you know, they've got a cutting tool. Doesn't really do anything right now, but it's a thing. They have talked about subcomponents on ship components where you can replace the fuses. You know, where you'd have these little things, and so your shit is fucked because the fuses blew. But then you go in and you change the fuses, and now it's working again. That would be the kind of minor, like, that sort of thing is the minor maintenance that you would be able to do on hand. But I think if it becomes damaged up to after a certain point, you would pretty much have to rip it out of the wall and put a new one in. You'd have to have a spare. Just like how you can fix a tire up to a certain point, but after a certain point, that flat is not happening. You need to get it off and put another one on.
Also, keep in mind too that the roles, especially in larger ships or even ships like the Star Runner or the Redeemer or whatever it may be, right? Especially in ships like Reclaimer and the Banyu Merchantman and stuff, they're going to have specific roles for people who are the engineers who are going to go through and fix this sort of stuff. So if that's not the thing that you want to do, if you just want to be the pilot, then you be the pilot, right? And you get me or RAYNE or ELIX, whoever it may be, to be the one that go, you say, hey, look, we're about to blow a fuse, go fix the thing. And obviously the people that want to be more technical can go and do that sort of stuff. So just because you don't want to do it necessarily doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have to. You can get other people like on your crew to do it. So
I also think that you're going to see a lot more of that. Of like, hey man, you need somebody to be the in-flight engineer. You're gonna see that much more on the 5-man, 6-person crew ship, whatever. Of like, okay, we have a person that wants to fit this role, that learns about this role, that is ready to handle this role. On single-player ships, it's gonna be much more of that's. A thing where the computer gives you an indicator and you hit the button telling the computer to deal with it, and then the computer deals with it. So like I feel like you're sort of worried about a thing that isn't here yet and hasn't arrived yet, and there's no point in sort of trying to
I'm totally future crafting.
Yeah.
I'll admit that right now.
But like it's not here yet, so who knows if it'll come, and B, if and when it comes, it will come in a way like many, many other things in the game where if you choose to engage in that play loop, you can. If you choose not to, like, you can play Star Citizen happily for the entirety of the game and never mine or never bounty hunt or never whatever. If you want to be medical, you can focus on medical. If you want to be bounty hunting, you can focus on bounty hunting. If you want to be mining, you can focus on mining or salvaging or any other of a dozen different game loops. And if you want to try a little of column A, B, C, whatever, then play to your heart's content. But like, it's a game in the end, and they're gonna not like force you to engage in the loops that you don't want to.
I just want to say the biggest thing that came out in 3.15 that no one's really talked about at the moment is the bunker missions with AI, and not only just bunker missions, but now AI is also in derelict craft. I can't remember who it was saying. I think it might have been my mate Bruno actually, who turned around and he said that they romped up to this derelict to grab the box, and him and his mate were like obviously Bruno's waiting in the ship, and his mate Mayhem goes to go into the ship to grab the box, and then you hear Mayhem say like, "Holy crap, I died!" And like Bruno's like, "Oh, what'd you do? Fall over?" He's like, "No, there's NPCs in here." So and they were like, "Oh shit." like, yeah.
Let me ask you a question, gamers. People have been, for the longest time, like old salty backers of Star Citizen, for the longest time have been saying, the AI is shit, it's so dumb, it's so blah blah blah, fake game, scam, whatever. Let me ask you a question. Have people changed their tune a little bit? Has there been some, hey, this AI is too good, help me?
You're talking about me in particular.
Anyone, not just you,
No,
not
we
just
would
you.
never single
I
out
would
the person
totally
we
single
wanna
out the
talk
person.
to.
So I've never complained about the AI being
No,
terrible.
not you.
Yeah.
But you did
So-
have some observations on it, yeah?
Yeah, so I turned up to a bunker mission the other day and literally got off the elevator and got wasted by an AI who was apparently the John Wick reincarnated. And then I've gone down, so then I've popped my medical beacon, and some guy came to help me, and then the AI wasted him as well. So then he's popped his medical beacon. So someone else turned up. We did this for about 9 iterations, like 3 different iterations for like each person. There was like 9 bodies laying around there, and they just kept killing them. So the AI in 3.15 is good. The AI in 3.15.1 is even better. Like I've seen the AI in 3.15 literally run slide behind box mission, like boxes, and then like pop up and fire at the other AI and then pop back down. And when they work, it's phenomenal. Yeah, they're generally, the AI is generally
That
it's pretty
sounds
good.
terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, it really was.
Can I
That is
get
very good news.
and can I get my corpsman to step in here a little bit and gush about the medical play?
Who's the comment?
Oh,
Sorry.
oh. Is Rain
Oh,
did Rain
Rain?
step away?
I know she's
I'm here. Everybody was going. So
Go can I get my
You have been
corpsman to
called upon.
hop in and gush a little bit about the medical play?
oh god. So one of the interesting things over the last few weeks is that Skunkworks has ballooned 800 people, and we have an academy now, and I am officially the vice commandant of said academy, whatever that means. And
That means you're the
I-
flight surgeon.
that yes, I'm basically the surgeon general of Skunkworks, and there's so much there with the multi-tool attachment, the med gun, with your pack and how you kit yourself out, and blood drug level, and not ODing your patients, and the ships and resources that we have, and one of my first experiences was doing a bunker mission with my buddy Stick, and the ramp into the bunker, as I call Ramp Savage, for those of you that know the jokes about when stuff goes wrong in Final Fantasy. Raubon Savage, for example, which nobody will know unless they were there for the launch.
Oh, I was there. I was there. I was there.
Yeah.
I was there for Raubon Savage, and I was there for Pippin Savage as well.
Yeah, I was there for Raubon and Pippin Savage too.
I just went off and I just went fishing for 2 days with that asshole.
Yeah, I did too. I was like, I'm done. I'll go do something else. But and it's like you have to triage, and you have to manage your resources. You've only got so many refills for the med gun, or so many pins you can carry with you, and then my backpack is full of all my med gear, and do I really want to carry 2 primary weapons, because then I got to carry both sets of mags, and okay, well, in my legs are going my grenades and my mags for my handgun, and in my torso is going my mags for my assault rifle, and all just there's so much. And then we're getting more. They've shown us all of the stuff for first aid kits and bandages and toxicity and poisons, and what happens.
My leg's fucked up. Help.
Yeah, what happens when we've got hostile flora and fauna, and somebody gets bit by something, and now it's a toxin situation, and it's just I'm so stoked for what's coming, and you actually get to teach people the profession now. And some of us have been talking about making a QRF, quick reaction force, for just a group of people and a bunch of Cutlass Reds acting as like ambulance, and getting out there to just be out in space ready for basically being fuel rats. But they're like, for those of you that are Shadowrun fans, Dockwagon, or those of you that are Cyberpunk fans, their version of like the armed medical response team. It's amazing. And as I was saying, the situation with Stick, I hit the ramp and the ramp knocked me down. Well, it would have killed me in 314. And that, backspace, right? Or whatever. In this, I'm down and Stick's like sees me drop and he's like, oh shit, hold on. Pulls out a pen, stabs me with the pen, and like, my character's head's all blurry and I'm all messed up and stuff. And he's like walking with me back to the cuddy, but we decide to go in and do the mission anyway because I can still kind of shoot and see. So we go and we do the mission, then we go to the cuddy, and he gets me, taken care of mostly. But then he's like, you know what? We need to get you back up to the clinic, up to the space station, because you're still kind of messed up. So, just all of this deep immersion, and you talk about these scenarios, and it sounds like you were role playing, but we weren't. We were playing the game because like Stick's like, oh my god, what happened? I'm like, I don't know, man. I hit the ramp and I'm down. Like I'm my character's hurt. I just I gush too much, but I've been probably toxically positive, but this is fantastic. It's phenomenal. And like I just keep telling people, just you're gonna love 315, but like Illidan said, you are not prepared. You're not prepared for, as Kai always used to put it, the survival update. You are not ready. Your stuff isn't magically all over the place. Medical gameplay is a thing. Your money needs to matter now because, yeah, if you spend 30 grand on your armor, guns, and your kit and you die and someone loots, you got to have another 30 grand sitting by to replace that stuff. And for us EVE Online players, we know all about wars of attrition. But the way to win a war in EVE is to break the other person's bank.
So much of games are gamified, if you will, and it like people do dumb shit because it's like whatever, it's just a game, whatever. Star Citizen is turning this corner where things are becoming much more like, you sure you want to do that? You sure you want to pay the price for that choice? And it's becoming. And I think there's going to be a lot of people who don't like it. There's going to be a lot of people that say, I'm out. This is not fun for me anymore. But I think there's going to be a larger number of people that are drawn to it that say, ooh, this is different. This is a not facile sort of one-dimensional game. This is a much more world where the ramifications are real. In a lot of ways, the same way as EVE. There's a lot of things that people love. The people who, many people hate EVE, but the people who love EVE love the super sort of in-depth, sticky sort of choice. Like everything is a choice. Everything is all about the math. And everything is like, yeah, sure, I'll kill you and you'll kill me. We both have clones. And I lost a 3 million credit ship and you lost a 12 billion credit ship, and I call that a win. And it's like that's a thing that I think a lot of other sort of games and whatever people aren't used to, and I foresee it being big, man.
Well, to go back to the medical thing, like hearing that story of like, here's the actual gameplay, and hearing RAYNE just go over the medical gameplay, I'm gonna call it now, and it's gonna be hilarious for everyone else involved but me. But I'm gonna do something stupid, and I'm gonna be brought in and be just laying on the table, and RAYNE's just gonna walk over doing the triage thing. She's gonna be like, Wolf, you done some dumb shit today, and well, this is for your own good, and she's just gonna OD me out of existence.
Wow.
Well, actually, real quick, you can. The body dragging is really good now. It works. And you can body drag somebody
Oof.
to a stretcher, press F for interact, and there's an interact and an animation where you pick them up and put them on the stretcher.
That's cool.
And then you can roll, and all of the spaceports now, every hangar has an elevator that is an emergency medical drop-off. If you drag somebody into that elevator and press the button, it closes and they spawn in the bed.
And I'm picturing that scene. Was it Heat? What was it where, like, those guys had, like, the one dude got shot when they were doing the robbery or whatever, and they just literally, like, pull up to an emergency room, throw the body out the door, and drive off like, we're not here, we're not part of this.
Yeah,
Wasn't that Pulp Fiction too?
Yeah, it might have been Pulp Fiction, yeah.
But the thing I was going to say about Eve that Kai brought up is in Eve, we measured war victories in terms of monetary damage. You know, one of the first wars that I was in was I was with a group called the Ascendant Frontier, versus a group called Band of Brothers, or Bob.
Oh, Bob.
And yeah, fucking Bob. We fought that war for 92 days. And over the course of that war, we lost twice as many ships as they did. But because we were an industrial powerhouse, we could keep putting ships out. We were producing ships.
Well, Bob also always flew expensive ships, so you were winning on the
Yes.
on the ledger.
Yeah. And you know, it was literally a 2-to-1 kill ratio, but they couldn't kill us. And they talked about, you know, their war council Air Bears are, you know, kicking your ass for 3 solid months before you have to resort to cheating to win, which, you know, happened at Battle of C9 NCC when Sivok lost the Titan. But anyway, I think this is something people are really going to have to care about now is like, how much money do you want to spend on going out there and being a jackass and griefing somebody and pad ram? You don't want to pad ram now. You know, you don't want to just be an asshole because, you know, now it's like, how are you going to replace that stuff? So it's fantastic. And with this now, all the old bugs that used to just kill your character or, you know, be a backspace situation, somebody can just walk up to you and shoot you with the med gun and you're back up and going. You don't have to respawn. Like, the only thing I've seen flat kill you is bombs, spaceship guns, or a shot to the face. You know, is the only thing I've seen just like insta kill somebody. So
I imagine falling from orbit also would, but I haven't tried that yet.
Let's find out. You know.
Oh yeah, if you're standing by the railing in Orison and say goodbye, cruel world, that will most certainly kill you.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I
good.
mean I just mean taking a short walk. I just mean taking like a long walk off of the end of a caterpillar over Lorville. And just
Eventually.
as I'm going down, scream anti-Hurston Dynamics propaganda.
Wow, so rude, so rude.
Sounds like a
Screw
good
the
way to
Hurston
turn
Dynamics
yourself into a lawn dart.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to be a statistic, I'm going to be an entertaining statistic.
Okay.
So when 3.15 came out and we had bombs, a friend of mine tried to bomb Hurston from orbit. I can tell you now, spoilers, it doesn't work. Ends up blowing up your ship because he was right on the barrier for the armistice zone, and when you drop the bomb, it hits the armistice zone and then goes off. But yeah, it's just fun when you get these new patches to try and do wacky stuff like jump off a caterpillar and see what happens. And yeah.
Nice. All right, guys, it's past 10 o'clock, so we're going to have to start wrapping this up soon. But I want to give this, I don't want to just call it and then have people go like, oh, I had 4 other things. So this is close to the final bell. Start throwing out any other Star Citizen stuff you want to talk about.
So,
server meshing?
I want to.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead with server meshing, but I want to talk about something after that's not in the game itself. But go
All
ahead.
right, so we did have an FAQ with server meshing. Very, very quickly, when will we see persistent server and server meshing? They have said that server meshing for the replication layer will be between Q1 and Q2. And they said that the first iteration of server meshing, which will be static, will be Q3 and Q4 of next year. So that's basically the big news of it. Obviously, they're still trying to get everybody on a single shard, but they don't know how that's going to go. That's obviously something that they'll have to evaluate later. You won't be able to fire a gun at a ship if you're on like a deck of a Kraken, but missiles and stuff will transfer from shard to shard. But yeah, the big thing is that we're looking at server meshing coming in. Replication layout Q1, Q2, server meshing Q3, Q4 of next year.
Which is what I said several shows ago.
Yeah, and
I was right.
And that's what I heard, that server meshing was going to be. I heard it was going to be Q1, Q2 of next year. My guy was out by about 3 months. But, to be honest, there's also, we're hearing about the replication layer, so they technically suppose. But yeah, it's going to be a good year because we've got persistent hangers and everything coming out. Then we've got server meshing coming out. And then once that starts, like, it's strap in, boys. It's a game.
Yeah.
As I want to put it, we're off to the races, and I promise you, I genuinely believe 4.0 with Pyro and Nyx next year.
Yeah.
SIG is also working on dynamic server meshing in parallel with static. They're not waiting for it to be done before they start on the next one. They're going to be continuing to develop the tech.
Yep.
So, anything else on that? Anyone want to say anything else on meshing?
No, that's basically the big point, is just when it's coming out. Look, there's an FAQ, guys. Go check the FAQ on I think it's on the comms link on the Robert Space Industry website. Some of us will also be putting out a video later talking about it if you want a more detailed sort of breakdown. But yeah, at the end of the day, that's the big thing, is mid to late next year.
Right on.
All right. So the thing I wanted to talk about is not in the game itself, and it was in the news earlier, and it was actually in the news in October, like about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It got leaked early and wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, I saw the story last night.
So
actually. Yep.
SIG has inked a deal where they have essentially leased, as far as I can tell, pretty much an entire building. It might not be the entire freaking thing, but it's close enough to it. They're leasing 87,130 square feet. Or 8,094 square meters.
They're clearly not doing any of this because Forbes told me that the game is a scam. And why would you need all that office space if you weren't actually working on anything?
Yeah. Chris is building his own interior mini golf course.
Oh, okay, now, that makes sense.
But for real, what's happening is this place is supposed to be big enough to have more than 1,000 people in it, and that is SIG's goal over the next 5 years.
Yeah, the story that I read specified it said hiring like 700 new developers.
Okay, so the numbers here are just a little bit weird because there's a small detail that sometimes gets missed in the reporting. The numbers that SIG has suggested is they're going to create more than 700 jobs in the Manchester area where the studio is being built when and soon after they move in, which is scheduled for May 2022. But what is less, and then over 1,000 within 5 years. They're moving in 2022. They're going to try to hit 700 by 2023 and 1,000 within 5 years. But what's less mentioned is there are 400 people working in the UK studio in Wimslow, which is nearby, and they're moving them in and counting those 400 employees as new jobs in Manchester. So out of that 700, 400 are existing employees. They're going to be hiring 300 more, and that's still a really big number, but that's not plus 700 outright. So that's one thing that gets a little missed in the reporting is there's going to be 400 on day one because they're bringing everybody in from Wimslow. They're also not moving the Derby office, at least as far as they've announced so far. That is a mocap studio, so they've already built up the special facilities for that. It'd be kind of hard to move that into this brand new building right off the bat. They probably will eventually consolidate them, my guess, but they're not in a rush to move them over because it's not just as easy as moving some desks in. So yeah, the Manchester thing is happening. They've obviously got eyes to grow really big soon, and they're going crazy big on this plan. But I just wanted to make sure that the clear numbers were up. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, and also, people are, and I'm a little bit concerned myself. People are concerned that CIG is growing too big and they're not going to be able to keep affording this. That's obviously something that is a concern, sure. But you also got to keep in mind too, from what we understand, Squadron 42 Chapter 1 is coming out, from what we understand, possibly the end of next year. So, and after Chapter 1, they've got then Chapter 2 and Chapter 3, plus the PU. And, at the end of the day, they need a big dev team. Like, you got to remember too, like games like Rockstar and stuff have over 1,000 devs. So, sure, they're going big, but this is only going to bring the count up to around the same sort of number. This is only going to bring the count up to around 1,100. So they've got 700 at the moment. They're going to put another 400 on extra.
300.
So so it's going to be around the 1,000 mark.
The real difference when you compare, for example, you compared them to Rockstar, where Rockstar typically, they don't usually work on multiple games at once, like a whole ton of games, like EA would or something like that. But still, they're not doing one project and one project only, as CIG is. So when you see 1,000 people working at CIG, they are all on Star Citizen or Squadron 42, which in my mind is one and the same, really. I know they're two different games, but
they have a lot of overlap.
Dedicated workforce. Whereas at Rockstar, you're going to have this group of people working on Red Dead Online, this group of people working on GTA Online, this group of people working on the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy remaster, and so on and such forth. You don't have that at CIG. You got everybody on this project.
A singularity.
CIG is now working on a dinosaur park game.
Wow. Okay.
It came out, by the way.
I did read some reviews about that game too, by the way.
On that note, I think that's a good time for us to go ahead and wrap it up for the evening. Guys, it's been a blast talking to you about these awesome games. We're super, super excited. Come and join the Discord. We're going to be hanging out in chat in the Discord as soon as the show wraps up. And I will post a link for the Discord in the notes, so those of you live that want to come, add your 2 cents and talk about it. Wolf,
Hi.
we absolutely need to get together and play through the Expedition 4 of Nomansky this week. We keep saying we're gonna do it, then we keep just playing New World, New World, New World. We got to do it. What do you think, bro?
Yeah, I've been wanting to play something fun and haha and the puzzle part of the expedition. Let's definitely do that this week, especially since I'm not going to be beating my head against a wall trying to get some of this work stuff done that's been making my IRL just drag.
I want to send out much love to the members of I see Dark Knight, I see Riamar, we had, I saw earlier, Fast Cart. Like, I want to send much love
Griff
to the
was in
Soul
here, too.
Citizens. Griff was in here. I've been playing a lot of New World while we were doing the show. So I didn't see all of the chat, but huge salute to the Soul Citizens and to New Soul for the theme song for tonight. And go check them out. They've got an awesome show twice a week, Thursday nights and Sunday nights. Go check them out Sunday night and enjoy it. And with that, let's on the count of 3, let's everybody say good night to the beautiful people. 1, 2, 3.
Good
Good
night,
night.
everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Nanu.
We love you.
See you in Star Citizen.
Yes, yes, and in New World. Come and join us.
Yes.
And Elite.
And in Elite. Sure, why not? I'm sure somebody still plays it. All right, good night.